Hi, I'm Chris Stead, Finder's Gaming Expert, and today I'm reviewing the Xbox Series X. Microsoft's Xbox Series X is its fourth console and it's entering into the ninth generation of video gaming. It is the most powerful console ever made and it's beautifully designed. It's one of the most enjoyable consoles just to look and feel. The density in it and the power in it, you can really feel in your hands. It is a well-made console. However, once you turn it on, it lacks a bit of flair. Microsoft has made an ill-judged decision, in my opinion, to release the user interface for the Xbox Series X ahead of its launch on the Xbox One. After playing with the user interface for a number of months now, turning on the Xbox Series X for the first time doesn't really whack you in the face. There's no big wow moment because it looks like you're just playing an Xbox One. There's a lot of power there, but there's no reason in those initial moments to actually realize that power is contributing to your experience of the console. It doesn't help that the controller that it comes with the Xbox Series X shows no real advancements on what we've seen before. It's slightly different. The latency has been improved, which is obviously a big plus. But when you hold this in your hands, it doesn't feel that next gen. It doesn't look that next gen when you see it on the screen. The UI we've already experienced. And this gives the Microsoft Xbox Series X a definite meh when you first turn it on. That's not to say that the power of the new Xbox Series X isn't welcomed. As I mentioned, it is the most powerful console ever made. And when you start looking at the features that make use of that power, such as quick loading, geez, it is good just to load into a video game within a matter of 15 to 20 seconds as opposed to the minute and a half, 2-minute waits we were experiencing at the end of the Xbox One generation. That feels great. When you actually get into that game, it feels great. The frame rate, the resolution, the feeling of playing is so much more buttery smooth and just feels that much more immersive and real as a result. And on top of that, the quick resume feature where you can hot swap between games and just enter straight into them. There is about a 3 or 4 second delay, but it's negligible to jump from one game to another and just continue playing as you go on. It does feel next gen. We start to get a sense at that point that the Xbox Series X is going to offer us a new experience. But it could be a case of when. The launch lineup for the Xbox Series X is underwhelming. Originally, Halo Infinite was going to launch with the Xbox Series X, and that would have been a real game changer. That would have been huge for not only the company, but for gamers. Unfortunately, it slipped into 2021, and what we're left with is a pretty weak exclusive lineup. The Falconeer, Yakuza, it's a good game, but it's also a niche game, and the likes of Tetris aren't exactly about to blow games out of the water and make this a must-buy before Christmas 2020. In the future, we do have a lot of big exciting games coming. There's Fable 4, there's Forza Motorsport 8, Everwild, Avowed, and of course, Microsoft has just bought Bethesda and its huge range of games, including the upcoming Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield titles, which may end up being exclusives or at least time exclusives on the Xbox Series X. But when are these coming out? 2021? Probably not. 2022 and beyond. In the short term, there's definitely a reliance on multi-format games for Xbox Series X players to enjoy their new console. And yes, there's some big ones: Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, Dirt. There's plenty coming out. Cyberpunk 2077, let's not forget that, and plenty more into the start of next year. However, definitely the lack of exclusives in the opening launch window and into early 2021 is a problem for maximizing and getting the most out of the Xbox Series X console. But perhaps exclusive games isn't the big deal for Microsoft straight out of the gate. Where the PlayStation 5 has taken the approach of really evolving the experience of playing games through its DualSense controller, its innovative UI, the way it uses its internal storage, and through its 3D sound engine, Tempest. Microsoft seems to be more focusing on the idea of gaming as a service. The Game Pass Ultimate is almost the bigger story here than the Xbox Series X itself. The Xbox Series X seems to be a conduit to access Game Pass in the best possible way. If you're not familiar with Game Pass, it allows you to subscribe for a monthly fee to a library of video games that you can access at any single time. That library is around 150 titles as I'm speaking to you now, and includes all the big first-party games and plenty of the big multi-format games as well. It's a real quality lineup. And on top of that, you get access to online play, you get EA Play, and when xCloud does a release in Australia in Q1 2021, you'll be able to stream your Xbox games to your mobile phone, your tablet, and other screens like that, which will get around some of the initial issues that we're seeing in terms of a lack of internal storage space. So in that regard, Game Pass Ultimate is the big differentiator for the Xbox here, because it allows you to play a lot of games at a very low price, and that is a big win in this post-COVID world. With its reliance on the user interface, which we've already seen, and a lack of big first-party exclusives in that launch window, there's very little with the Xbox Series X that'll convince PlayStation gamers to jump ship. If there's one thing about this console that I do really like, it's its accessibility. Not only is there Game Pass Ultimate, but backwards compatibility all the way back to the Xbox One. Controllers from the previous generation that work straight away, so you can get straight into local multiplayer as soon as you're ready. And on top of that, there's Xbox All Access, which is a payment plan where you can pay your Xbox Series X off over 24 months at a rate which actually has no margin on it. So at the end of those 24 months, you've received the console and Game Pass Ultimate for 24 months without actually spending any additional money. My gut feeling with the Xbox Series X is it's a means to an end, a means to getting more subscriptions to the Game Pass service. It's a perfectly capable machine. It can play the latest and greatest games as good as anything else that's out there. But it's not exactly striving to increase the boundaries of what video gaming is capable for, like its main rival, the PlayStation 5, and that may be off-putting to some. However, the barrier to entry here is as low as we've seen in any generation. The ability to get in and actually play next generation games on the Xbox Series X is definitely easier than it is on the rival platform. So, should you buy an Xbox Series X? The reality is there's no pressing need to get an Xbox Series X straight away. For the most part, you'll be playing your old games with better frame rates and HDR and quicker loading for the next 6 or so months until we start seeing games like Halo Infinite and more exclusive release on the format. You don't need it right now. However, if you are a big Xbox fan, it is going to be a console you enjoy playing, and I think it's really going to start finding its feet around 2022 when we start to see some purpose-built games for the console start to come out and really maximize that power. Like the PlayStation, you are probably going to have to upgrade your internal hard drive space, in this case with a cartridge slot that goes in the back, sometime in the near future, and that's an expense that's going to set you back a fair few $100s. That's just something you're going to have to factor in as well. There's no plus or minus there when it comes to the two consoles. Really, the Xbox does have slightly more than PlayStation, but we're talking about 1 or 2 more games worth of storage space internally before it fills up. My only wish with the Xbox Series X, that I wish it had dared to be different. I wish it had tried to be a little bit more innovative with the way that we approach the next generation of gaming. But oh well, you can't have it all, and more power, power's good. Obviously this is just a recap of our bigger, larger written review that you'll find on the finder.com.au website, and we also have a review of the PlayStation 5 up there if you want to compare the two systems to decide which one is right for you.